It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to scrub in, I guess you could say, for a deep dive into the world of Chicago Med. You know, you guys gave some really interesting stuff to work with on this one.
Yeah, this one is really interesting.
Some character analysis and, even how the show tackles like real world issues.
Yeah, and I think what's really fascinating about Chicago Med is just this commitment to moral complexity. Like, it's not just about, the happy endings and the medical miracles. It's about those gray areas, where the right choice isn't always clear.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes it so interesting. Like in that one episode, I think it was season 3, where Dr. Halstead kind of bends the rules to get a patient this experimental treatment.
Right.
Like his heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
But is he putting other patients at risk?
Totally. And I think it highlights that tension that's so often in medical dramas between a doctor's personal commitment to a patient and the responsibility they have to the larger system or their colleagues.
Yeah. Where do you draw the line? But okay, so before we get too deep into the ethical weeds, I guess you could say maybe we should set the scene a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Our deep dive takes us to Gaffney Chicago Medical Center. What's the vibe like there?
Well, imagine the controlled chaos of a big city ER, but amplified. I think Chicago Med really doesn't shy away from those kind of like nitty-gritty realities of working in a hospital, understaffing, budget constraints, the constant influx of patients from all walks of life.
Yeah.
It's a pressure cooker environment, which I think really adds to the drama.
Okay, so it's not all like shiny high-tech equipment and, perfect diagnoses.
No, not at all.
It's more like we're down in the ER trenches.
Yeah.
Where the stakes are high and emotions are even higher.
Exactly. And I think that's where our main players come in. Chicago Med has this really fascinating cast of characters, each bringing their own baggage and complexities to this high-pressure environment.
Okay. Let's meet the team then.
Yeah.
We've got Dr. Will Halstead. I mean, he's kind of the passionate one that we were just talking about.
Right. He's driven by this really deep sense of empathy, always advocating for his patients, sometimes to the point of recklessness.
And then there's Dr. Natalie Manning. She's the pediatrician, right?
Yes.
I always find pediatricians so interesting because they have to deal with not just the kid, but the whole family dynamic.
Totally. And on top of that, she's dealing with being a single mom, so the show really delves into that struggle of balancing, work life and personal responsibilities.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got passion, we've got empathy. Mm-hmm. Who else rounds out the team?
Well, for a dose of discipline, we have Dr. Ethan Shoy,
okay,
the ex-Navy medic.
Oh.
He brings this very methodical, by-the-book approach to medicine, which sometimes clashes with the more emotionally driven styles of his colleagues.
I bet that makes for some good conflict.
Oh, absolutely.
What about the surgical side of things?
Oh, well, there we have Dr. Connor Rhodes, the confident, sometimes even arrogant trauma surgeon.
Okay.
He's brilliant, there's no doubt about it, but he can be a bit of a maverick, pushing boundaries and ruffling feathers along the way.
It's a little bit of a Dr. House personality, maybe?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But,
yeah.
The show also explores his vulnerabilities, his past, family dynamics, and how those things influence his approach to medicine.
Okay, so this is already sounding way more complex than just your typical medical drama.
Oh, for sure.
And we haven't even touched on the psychiatry aspect of it yet.
Right. We can't forget Dr. Daniel Charles, the insightful psychiatrist.
Okay.
He's not just treating patients with mental health issues. He's often the one who helps other doctors understand the psychological underpinnings of their patients' behavior.
Oh, that's interesting. So he's like adding a whole other layer of diagnosis to these cases.
Precisely. And then there's Maggie Lockwood.
Okay.
Our head nurse. She's kind of the glue that holds the ER together, always offering a steady hand, a listening ear, and a dose of tough love when needed.
So Gaffney has, a real mix of personalities.
Oh, yeah.
Each with their own strengths and flaws. But, it's more than just individual characters, right? It's how they interact, how they clash, how they support each other. That's where the real drama comes in.
Absolutely. And I think that's where Chicago Med really excels. It takes those interpersonal dynamics and weaves them into these incredibly complex ethical dilemmas that, doctors face on a daily basis.
Okay, so give me an example. What kind of ethical challenges are we talking about?
Well, one recurring theme is this issue of patient autonomy versus the doctor's obligation to do what they believe is best. Like, imagine a patient refusing a life-saving blood transfusion because of their religious beliefs.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. What does the doctor do in that situation? Do they respect the patient's wishes, even if it means letting them die? Or they try to intervene, possibly going against the patient's will?
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of conflict that Chicago Med explores. It forces you to grapple with those gray areas, to see both sides of the argument, and realize that there's not always a simple right or wrong answer.
Okay, so it's doing more than just, delivering those medical thrills. It's making you think.
Absolutely.
Making you question, your own beliefs about healthcare and the choices that people have to make. But it's not all heavy ethical debates. Right?
Mm-hmm.
These doctors and nurses, they have lives outside of the hospital, too.
Of course. And Chicago Med doesn't shy away from exploring the emotional toll that this kind of work takes on them. We see them dealing with burnout, compassion, fatigue, relationship issues, and just the constant pressure of making, these life or death decisions.
So it's like a pressure cooker, both inside and outside the ER.
Exactly.
And to see how that would make for some really compelling drama.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating, I think, is that Chicago Med doesn't just focus on the individual character struggles. It also uses those personal stories to reflect larger societal issues.
Okay, so how does Chicago Med, hold up a mirror to the real world? What kind of social commentary are we talking about?
Well, for example, the show tackles the issue of gun violence, which is tragically very prevalent in Chicago. We see the impact of shootings not just on the victims, but on the doctors and nurses who are trying to save them.
Yeah, that's got to be incredibly emotionally draining for everyone involved.
It is. And it's something that healthcare workers face in real life, especially in cities where gun violence is a major problem. The show also explores issues like the opioid epidemic, healthcare inequities, and the stigma surrounding mental health.
Wow, so they're taking these real-world problems and weaving them into the fabric of the show. It's not just about entertainment. It's about making people aware of these issues.
Exactly. And what's really interesting, I think, is how Chicago Med uses its diverse cast to explore those issues from multiple perspectives. We see characters from different racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds, and the show doesn't shy away from addressing the disparities in healthcare access and outcomes.
So it's not just about having a diverse cast for the sake of appearances. It's about using that diversity to tell richer and more nuanced stories that reflect the real world.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that makes Chicago Med so compelling. It's both entertaining and thought-provoking. You get these, heart-stopping medical emergencies. But it also makes you think about the bigger picture, about the challenges facing our healthcare system and the people who work within it.
It sounds like Chicago Med is really pushing the boundaries of the medical drama genre, tackling these complex issues while still delivering the kind of gripping storylines and character development that keep viewers coming back for more.
Yeah.
But there's another layer to this whole Chicago world that we need to talk about. The crossovers.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago Med isn't just happening in a vacuum, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Chicago Med is part of this larger Chicago franchise, along with Chicago Fire and Chicago PD. And the way these shows intersect, I think, is what makes them truly unique. All right, well, we need to unpack those Chicago connections. But first, I think we've earned a little break. We'll be right back to delve into how Chicago Med fits into this larger interconnected world.
It's like, you're not just watching cameos for the sake of it. These crossovers actually impact the storyline.
Exactly. It's not just like, oh, hey, look, there's a character from Chicago Fire, walking down the hall of the hospital.
Right.
When those worlds collide, it has real consequences for the characters and the storylines.
Yeah, it's like watching a puzzle come together. You've got these pieces from different parts of the city, the firefighters, the cops, the doctors, all connected by these dramatic events.
Okay, so paint me a picture. What's a crossover moment that really highlights how these shows are truly intertwined?
Well, imagine a massive building fire breaks out in Chicago, and we see the firefighters from Chicago Fire, rushing into this inferno, rescuing victims, battling the blaze.
Oh, I can hear those sirens wailing already.
Right. And then those victims, some critically injured, some with smoke inhalation, they all get transported to Gaffney, where our Chicago Med team takes over.
Right.
And suddenly you're seeing, those familiar faces from Chicago Fire interacting with the doctors and nurses that we've come to know on Chicago Med.
Yeah, so it's not just about the medical drama then. It's about seeing how these first responders, how they rely on each other, how their actions have like a ripple effect across these different parts of the city.
Exactly. And sometimes the situation escalates even further. Let's say one of the fire victims has injuries that suggest foul play.
Oh, okay.
Now you've got detectives from Chicago PD showing up at Gaffney investigating a potential crime scene within the hospital.
The hospital becomes like this central hub.
Yeah.
Where all these different worlds converge.
Exactly. And because you're invested in the characters across all 3 shows, the stakes feel even higher.
Right.
You're not just worried about the patients, you're worried about the firefighters, the cops, everyone who's caught up in this web of interconnected events.
It's like this whole Chicago franchise creates this incredibly rich and immersive world.
Yeah.
Where the drama never really stops. It keeps evolving and spilling over into these different arenas.
And speaking of which, I think there's another aspect of Chicago Med that contributes to its realism and its depth, and that's the show's commitment to diversity.
Right. It's been praised for its diverse cast, and it's not just token representation either.
Right.
It feels like a genuine effort to reflect the real world.
Absolutely.
Both in terms of the patients and the medical professionals.
The show features characters from all walks of life, different racial and ethnic backgrounds, different sexual orientations, different socioeconomic statuses.
Yeah.
And it's not just about checking boxes. It's about exploring how those identities intersect with the characters' experiences in the healthcare system.
Right. It makes you realize that healthcare isn't one size fits all.
No.
Everyone comes to the hospital with their own unique set of circumstances, their own cultural background, their own beliefs and values.
Exactly. And Chicago Med doesn't shy away from showing how those differences can sometimes lead to misunderstandings, biases, or even conflicts between doctors and patients.
I remember there was one episode where Dr. Choi, who is Asian American,
right,
faced some prejudice from a patient who didn't want him as their doctor. And it was like a really powerful reminder that those kinds of biases still exist.
Absolutely.
Even in a setting that's supposed to be about healing and compassion.
And it's moments like that that I think elevate Chicago Med beyond just a typical medical drama.
Yeah.
It's not just about the adrenaline rush of saving lives. It's about prompting viewers to think critically about these social issues, about the systemic inequities that impact, healthcare access and quality of care.
Okay, so ultimately, what's the takeaway? Why does Chicago Med matter? What kind of impact does it have?
Well, for one thing, I think it humanizes healthcare workers. It reminds us that behind those scrubs are real people who are dealing with their own struggles, their own doubts, their own fears.
It's like that old saying, doctors are just people who know a lot about medicine.
Right.
They get stressed, they make mistakes, they get emotionally invested in their patients. And Chicago Med doesn't shy away from showing that vulnerability.
Exactly. And by exploring those social issues that impact healthcare, the show raises awareness and encourages viewers to think critically about those challenges.
Yeah.
Maybe it even inspires some people to get involved in their own communities, to advocate for better healthcare access or to support healthcare workers who are on the front lines.
So it's not just entertainment, it's a conversation starter.
I think so.
It's a way to connect with these issues on like a deeper level, to see the human faces behind the statistics and the headlines.
Right. It's about understanding that healthcare is more than just pills and procedures.
Right.
It's about people, their stories, and the systems that shape their lives.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
From the heart-stopping medical dramas to the ethical dilemmas, the personal struggles, the social commentary that makes Chicago Med such a compelling and thought-provoking show.
And what I find most interesting is how it manages to do all of that while still being incredibly entertaining. The writing, the acting, the production values, it all comes together to create a show that's both captivating and meaningful.
Absolutely. It's a show that stays with you long after the credits roll.
Yeah.
It makes you think, it makes you feel, and it makes you want to keep coming back for more.
And that's what great storytelling is all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Creating a world that you can get lost in with characters that you care about and themes that resonate long after that final scene.
Chicago Med certainly achieves that, and then some.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap up our deep dive, we want to hear from you, the listener. What stood out to you about Chicago Med? Were there any storylines or characters that particularly resonated with you? Share your thoughts with us, because after all, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how Chicago Med manages to pack so much into every episode.
It really does.
It's like, you know, this microcosm of the real world with all its, you know, complexities and contradictions.
And I think that's what makes it so relatable.
Yeah.
It's not just about, you know, the extraordinary medical cases. It's about those, like, ordinary human struggles that we all face, whether we're doctors or nurses or just regular people, you know, trying to navigate life.
It's like watching a reflection of your own community, your own family, you know, your own experiences, but with this added layer of medical drama and intensity.
Exactly. And I think that's what keeps people coming back for more. It's not just about, you know, escaping into a world of medical marvels. It's about connecting with the characters.
Right.
Empathizing with their struggles, and maybe even learning something about ourselves in the process.
Speaking of learning, one thing that really impressed me was how Chicago Med tackled these really, you know, sensitive and often controversial topics.
Yeah.
Like the opioid crisis, for example.
Yeah.
They didn't sugarcoat it.
No.
But they also didn't exploit it for shock value.
They approached it with a sense of nuance and compassion.
Right.
Really showing the human toll of addiction, not just on the patients, but on their families and the healthcare workers who are trying to help them.
It's like they're saying, hey, this is a complex issue and there's no easy solution.
Right.
But let's at least start a conversation about it.
And that's what good storytelling can do.
Yeah.
It can open our eyes to different perspectives, you know, challenge our assumptions and make us think more deeply about the world around us.
So at the end of the day, Chicago Med is more than just a medical drama.
Oh, for sure.
It's a show that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Sheehan reflects the realities of healthcare and, you know, the complexities of human nature.
Absolutely. And I think what really stays with me is that sense of hope.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the face of, you know, tragedy, loss, and moral dilemmas, the characters never give up.
Yeah.
They keep fighting for their patients, they keep supporting each other, and they keep believing in the power of human connection.
It's a reminder that even in, like, the darkest of times, there's always light to be found, and there's always a reason to keep going.
Yeah, and that's a powerful message.
It is.
One that I think we all need to hear, especially in today's world.
Well, there you have it. Our deep dive into the world of Chicago Med. I think we've explored the characters, the themes, the social commentary, the way it connects to this larger Chicago universe.
Yeah.
But now we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Chicago Med? What surprised you? What resonated with you?
Yeah, let us know.
Share your insights with us, because after all, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.